Welcome back, data leaders and Python learners, to Insight Builder channel. MS Excel automation using Openpyxl. Each Excel workbook can be a Python object. The problem challenge is create and update Excel files and automate the process using Python. Solution comes in the form of Openpyxl library that has been created in Python, and this creates an excellent interface to Excel. Once we go into the examples, you will see how powerful the interface is and how intuitive the use of this library is. Along with that, we will also introduce the Glob module. Openpyxl can be installed using pip install. You can get the details about the Openpyxl in this link. Glob is inbuilt, as I already explained, and you can get the details in this particular link here. Before we head into the Jupyter Notebook, I just also want to introduce that you might also like pandas. If you are looking for some automation related to Excel, then pandas is also one of the viable alternate. But Openpyxl is much more raw way of working with Excel and Python. What we are going to do is a little more challenging this time. So if you have seen my earlier video, the video just before this Excel automation video, I have introduced requests module, and there we collect the data from the internet. Now, if you have not watched it, do watch it. It's one of the most important videos, and you will understand the power of automation when you connect Python with request module and the API endpoints in the internet. Now what we are going to do is we are going to connect API endpoints with Python, and then we are going to transfer that data into Excel file. So you see what is happening. So from the internet, it is moving through Python and it is going into Excel file. So we are going to do this. You might be wondering whether this is possible. Actually, it is much easier, very easier than that. So what we are going to do is I am going to go to the terminal, and in the terminal, if you see, I have already started my Jupyter Notebook and the server is already running. And I'm going to go to my to my browser, Chrome browser, and there you see the page where I have all the code and the data. So click on Jupyter Notebook, and inside Jupyter Notebook, click on Openpyxl _ Glob _ automation. Click on that, and it will open the notebook where we are going to explore the Openpyxl library. Just give a moment, it will upload. There we go. Now, if you have not installed Openpyxl, or if you are facing any challenge in opening the Jupyter Notebook in this way, I will be attaching the link of the videos which will help you to get up to speed with Jupyter, with Python. All those links, important video links, I will attach it to this video. Just go through that. Or you can just go through this playlist also, the playlist that is part of this video. You can go through that, you will get some idea, a good idea on how to get up to speed with Jupyter. And without further ado, let us start this notebook. So here I have already installed Openpyxl, so I am not going to install it. So I don't need to run this. If you want, you can install it by using this cell. I am going to import both Glob and Openpyxl. Just manually I am importing it, and then I am going to create the workbook. Okay, to create the workbook in Openpyxl is by using this invocation. So I will be using Openpyxl.workbook, and it will create the workbook. So how do I know that it is a workbook? Very simple. The best way is to just do a type check. So just do type check like this, and you will see that it is saying Openpyxl.workbook.workbook.workbook. What is this? Okay, what happens is this is called as layers of abstraction. In Python, when you can create the templates. So Openpyxl is the module, and workbook is the class. Okay, and this new _excel.object is actually the object which is the copy of this class. When I say the copy, that means it is actually having the template of this class. So if you are new to Python, if you are still confused about object-oriented programming, it is high time that you look at one of the other videos where I have explained how the real world things can be represented as objects inside Python execution environment. Excel is a real world object, real world thing. I mean, you interact with it, right? Even though it is inside your computer, it is still a real world application that has physical attributes. So you have to understand how Python creates the interface between these objects and Python execution environment. So take a look at that video, you will understand much easily. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to catch the active worksheet. So once I open any Excel sheet, right, there will be one active sheet. So this particular command is going to catch that, meaning it is going to take control of that worksheet. And in that worksheet, I'm going to say, I'm going to give a number, any number here, and on cell A1, I'm going to give that number, and the worksheet variable is WS. Again, if you are still thinking, okay, how is this a worksheet? Do a type check. Okay, doing this type checks will make you understand what is going on in the Python program. And when you have Jupyter Notebook, you can do this type checking how many times ever you want. And you can save this notebook and you can share it with others also. That is the benefit of using Jupyter Notebook. And now I am trying to understand what is there in the cell A1. So if I try to print it, you will see that it prints this. This is gibberish, right? But if I want to get the value, what I need to do is I need to say WS, select the cell, and I say value. And you will see the same value it gets reflected here. And if I want, I can append the values to the sheet also. So let us see what happens. You will see how this gets appended. And here I am importing date and time, and I am going to append, let us not do it to A2, let us do it to A3. And I'm going to append the today's date and time to that sheet, and I have done. So I have done these things, and I'm going to write it to a sample.xlsx file format. And how to know that whether these files are created? So there are two ways. Okay, go back to the source, and if you see, there is this file that got created, and it just got created seconds ago. Okay, and you can click on this. In Jupyter Notebook, it can't open. So you can't open XLSX file in Jupyter Notebook. So don't try that. All you need to do is you have to go back to the regular notebook, regular location, file location, and you can open it. So I'll be doing that. So here you can see whatever we created, whatever values we updated to A1 to, then we appended these three values, and then we gave the now. All the values have got, let me zoom in a bit so that you can see better. So here you see those values that has got updated, and this is how you can actually create Excel sheets straight in a very easy fashion. Just 4 lines of code and you have got all this data updated. Now you will see more magic. So we have seen the basics of how to work with the Openpyxl, right? Now what we are going to do is we are going to import requests and JSON module again. We will not be using JSON, but still I'm importing it. They work together, so I always import it together. What happens is I have already created a API and I have hosted it in glitch.com, glitch.me. So if you go there, you will see that this already has an API, and I can look at the docs like this. So if I use docs here, it will open you will see it will open the window, open the list of API endpoints that is attached with this fast API. You will see like this. It will take a minute or two. Once you see there are lots of API endpoints here, you see there is post, there is get. Like this, you can also create fast API endpoints by using the data that you get. but now we are going to use this for populating our Excel sheet. So what we are going to do is we are going to use request module to query this API endpoint, get bikers v1 biker, and we are going to get this data, you see this data, and we are going to write it to Excel file. This is what we are going to achieve, and you will see how easy it is. So let us go back to our Jupyter notebook, and you see I have got the link here, and I'm just going to give a get request to that URL, and I'm going to convert it to JSON, and voila, I have got the JSON data. So you want to check it, you can check it. So it is DL01 and this is DL03. You can go here, you see DL01 and DL03. So the data, whatever is showing here, is also the same. Now what we are going to do is we can actually get each and every data of that is shown here using the list as well as using the dict command. So if you are new to Python totally, then you will be confused at this moment. What I would suggest is kindly go through the Python crash course, kind of a crash course that I had created, where I explain about the data structures, the list, dictionary, and the sets. You will understand what is why I'm using list, why I'm using this 0 here, and why I'm using ID here. Okay, but still I will introduce briefly. So here you see this particular biker underscore data is a list of 2 dictionaries. So you see the comma, you see the curly braces here. So this is the dictionary, first dictionary, and this is the second dictionary. Okay, and when I use 0, this is referring to the first dictionary, and this refers to the key of the first dictionary. And if I go up, you see 0x3474 is the same value. This is how I can get the value. There are other ways to get the values from the dictionary. So that is by using keys and values. Okay, when you actually do the keys method, you will actually get the list of keys. So keys are all these things are keys, which is before left side of the colon are all keys, and right side of the colon is all values. So we will separate the keys and separate the values first. So we will separate it like this, and then even if you separate it like that, still these are all dict keys. Okay, if you have to use it, if we want to use it in our regular activity to loop, you have to convert it into list like this. So once you, okay, this is coming because I have not executed this. So let me, okay, I have not executed this also. Let me execute this, and yeah, this is not required to execute. Now if I execute this, you'll see that it will create a list. So you see it created a list. Here it says dict keys and then it is covered in a bracket, but here it is straight list. Now I can use this without any issue. So if you check the length, it is 21 keys are there. Same way values also I can do. So I will wrap it around list like this, and this one also like this, and then execute, and you will see that I have got a list of values. Now I am going to create a new workbook. Okay, this workbook is different from the earlier workbook that we created. Okay, this workbook, this is what I'm going to create is going to be different from this. I introduced requests, I showed you what data I'm going to fill in my sheet, and now I'm going to create the workbook, and I'm going to take the first active sheet, and then I am going to use for loop. This also I have explained how to use for loops, how to use functions, how to work with work with the conditional statements in a separate video. I will be attaching it as a link to this video. Take a look at that. What we are doing here is there is a inbuilt function in Python called as enumerate, and we can use that enumerate and we can enumerate it over the list. So the list that we created here, the keys the values and the keys, the list. So we will be enumerating over this. So when we enumerate, what will happen is, for each element of the list, I will get its index. So ID will have index 0 and the value will be ID. The delivery underscore person underscore ID will have value index 1 and it will be the value. Like this, when I use enumerate, I will get two things. I will get the index and then the value. So what I will be doing is, I will first of all take the list and I will enumerate over that. And if you see, I will try to print this and I will execute this. Okay, sorry. Let me first execute that. And if I execute this, you will see that every, here you see there is no square bracket here. This is actually printed by this value. So every time the for loop loops, you will see that it prints the current data. Okay, and the current data is every time it changes. So it changes from index. So it changes one by one. So first time it will be index will be 0, second time it will be 1, 2, 3 till 20. So that is how this changes. And accordingly, the list will be, the values in the list will be taken out. Okay, so let me actually show for your understanding what exactly happens. So let me take it out and put it here, and let me give a value, say 6. So if I put 6, this is going to give me the value of the 7th position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, delivery location latitude. This is actually the 6th value. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, right? It starts from 0 in Python. That is what you are getting here. The same way, whenever this enumeration happens, so each and everything will get enumerated. And now it has all stored in sheet 1. Okay. And now the same way I'm going to enumerate the values. So here I enumerated the keys and here I'm going to enumerate the values, but I am going to store it in row 2. Okay. Here I have stored it in row 1. The function that you see here, the method you see here, the cell actually can take 3 parameters. One is the row, the second is the column, and the third is the value. In let us go back to the Excel sheet for a moment. That will actually give you a further idea. 1 minute. Yeah, you see that this is the column, these are the columns, and these are the rows. Okay, so this will be column A and this will be row 1. So this will be A1 and this will be B1, this is C1, D1. So this is how it goes. And again, this will be A2, B2, C2, D2. So that is how it goes. You can see the index here, right? And that is what we are also using in our function here. So we are using row 1, column. Okay, you might be confused here. Why am I actually putting index plus 1? Why this issue? This happens because Python starts iterating from 0. Okay, the index, I will actually print this also for your understanding, but I will comment it out later, so it will not create a problem. So I'm going to print this again, and I'm going to give it a value so that this will be understanding. You can understand it easily. This is index. Okay, and I'm going to print this, okay, like this, and let me execute. So you see that every time the things loop, you see this is index 0 and ID. This is index 1, delivery person, index 2. So this index starts from 0. But if you come back to the sample XLSX and if you see that our index starts at 1. So the column actually starts at 1. It cannot start at 0. And same way, the row cannot start at 0. It starts at 1. Because of this, we have to add 1 to our enumeration. So what will happen is basically this will actually index from, instead of from 0, it will index from 1. So let me see what happens. I will show you what happens. Again, this also I will put it here. And the main point here is that you need to do such kinds of checking whenever you are finding any problem. So this is the easiest way to find out what is going on, the logic inside the Python program. And Jupyter notebooks are very helpful for that. As you can see here, this is indexed without anything added, but here I add index plus 1, and you see here it prints 1, and then here it prints 1 and 2. So it is adding plus 1 to everything. So it starts from 1. So that is the purpose of this index plus 1. Okay. If you don't do that, let me show that also. If you don't do that, what will happen is you will get an error. So now I remove this. Okay. And if I execute, you will see that I am getting an error. It says row or column values must be at least 1. So such kind of errors are very cryptic. You may not understand, okay, why this error is coming. Okay, so you need to understand. Once you get more experience, I have faced similar errors in a couple of other areas. So I knew, okay, this could be the problem. So like this, once you understand the various underlying systems, then you will be able to easily easily work with the Python automation. So now we have attached the, now we have updated the keys. Now I am going to update the values. Values also updated. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to check. So I am going to check in sheet 1, what is the value of A2? And you see the value is 3474. The value is 3474. So this value has been updated to A2. And now I'm going to create a new sheet. So I'm going to, under biker_excel._book, I'm going to create a new sheet. And the sheet name is sheet 2. I go ahead and create it. And the same thing I'm going to do. The same thing that I did here, I'm going to do that. But one thing is going to be different. I'm going to use number 1 here. That is because I explained to you there are 2 data that comes out, right? There are 2 dictionaries, right? So the second dictionary, I am going to write it in second sheet altogether. Okay, and I have written that, and now, okay, wait a minute. I think I have not written this. Okay, and now I am going to save it. So once I save it, let me execute. And once I save it, I actually will have a file called, let us see. In my, okay, when I am doing such ls using the exclamation mark, Jupyter Notebook actually bypasses bypasses and directly works with the underlying operating system file system. So that is why I'm able to get this directory listing. So ls is basically directory listing, and you see here the biker.api.xlsx file has been created. So yes, the file has been created. Now, how to check whether the file has the correct data or not? Very simple. We go back and check the data in the file itself. So here, if you see that we can see the data has been updated in biker_api.xlsx. The data has been updated. We can see the data here, and we can also see that there are 2 sheets here. And the second sheet, the second data has been updated. That is how we actually find out that the data has been written or not. Coming back to our Jupyter Notebook, now we have seen that how we can take the API data that we took it from here by using this. We took the API data, converted it into Python object, and then created the Openpyxl workbook, and then moved the data into the workbook, and we checked it also. This is how you automate the process. So we took the data from internet and moved it into the Excel sheet, and we can move this Excel sheet to anywhere we want. So that is how it works. And that is the part of the automation. Now comes the next step. I will give a basic introduction about glob module. So you have to just import the glob by using import glob that I have already done at the top. You just do it like this, import it, and then you say glob.glob. Basically it will glob. So it will glob all the files that has the extension XLSX. So if I give this value, so this works on the regular expression and this kind of star expression that we'll use in our if you are going to search for something in Windows Explorer, we can use the star option. So same way you can use that star option and check all the XLSX file. But in Python, what will happen is it will actually create a list. So it will create a list by globbing it, and then you can actually enumerate or iterate over this list, like how I did here. If you remember, I did that in for loop, right? Where it is, yeah. I showed you how to do that. So I iterated it over here, right? This kind of, looping over the list is called as iteration or enumeration. You can do that. And here I am actually changing directory one step above, and I am checking how many text files I have. So if I just execute this, you will see that I have two text files, serialized_json text and serialized video tutorial.txt. So these two text files are there in, okay, I have not changed the directory. So let me change the directory and then let me execute. You will see that I have many text files, and I have actually taken one step back. So if I check my current working directory, right? So it will be different. So get current working directory. So if you do this and if you execute this, I am in Python learner de_data. That is, I am, let me go to the terminal. Let me go to the terminal, and I am actually one step back. I am in this location. Right now I am in this location where I can see the directory code _script_notebooks, and also I can see the directory presentations. I can see this directory also. So like this, I am at the top level of the directory tree. This is one of the ways let me go back to the Internet Explorer, browser. This is one of the ways we can use glob. So I can touch all this text files, and if I want, I can create an application which can read all these text files and take the data from it. And that is how you start automating. In the video where I introduced requests and JSON module, I had told that we can do similar kind of automation using for loops and lists. So here also you can think about some of the ways. One of the ideas that I have shared is that you go back to the fast API, the link that I had provided, and you see there are other endpoints also where you can get the data. So if you click on that, if you say try it out, and if you execute it, you will see that you will get more data in different formats. So you can go ahead and check it out like this. If you go try it out and execute, you'll see that it will execute. So it is taking a little time here because of my internet connectivity. It will execute for you, and you can do the same thing like how you did it here for this link. You can do it for, see, you got the reply here. So you can do it for, again, you got the reply here, right? So you'll get different replies. You can actually take this values, the request URL. So you can take this request URL and you can actually replace this, or you can practice it using a different request altogether. So instead of biker URL, you can create delivery_URL, and then you can create delivery_data, and you can get the data, and then you can print it out and see. After that, after you have checked it all, then you can write that data into the Excel file of your own and check it out. So in that way, you can easily practice. And the more you practice, better will become. And a lot of errors will come, a lot of questions will come. So let me go back to the presentation. When you start, trying it out, you will get a lot of doubts when you try to automate. That is how you can learn to automate. The more doubts you get, the more mistakes you make. It will be initially you will feel little afraid that what if you can't achieve it. Even when I was trying to create this script, create this notebook, I was facing the same problem. But once you start doing it, once you make the mistakes, once you are ready to fall and wake up, get up, things will become much more easier. So try these things out. If you have any questions, do let me know. So let me do a recap. So we introduced Openpyxl. We introduced how to get the Openpyxl module, and we checked how to move the data from API endpoint into your Excel file. So we have gone through this entire process. So if you like my content, do leave a like, and if you have any questions, do leave a comment. I will reply to you as soon as possible. If you do subscribe by clicking the bell icon, so that any new videos that I will be updating will immediately hit your alarm, so that you can take a look at it. And in this way, it will be much more easier for you to upskill faster and also understand the basic workings of the systems in a different way. Because the way I take these content is, I want to remove all the abstractions. Python actually creates layers of abstraction. So when I say layers of abstraction, let me just go back again before I close this video. The layers of abstraction is, if I go to the top, you see there is Openpyxl module, and here there is two more layers of classes that has been created, modules or classes that has been created, and then you see the workbook class. This is called as layers of abstraction. And how the programmers of the Openpyxl library were able to interface Python with the Excel files. You understand what I'm trying to say? They have created a module that can work with the Excel file as an object. So how did they do that? They would have written a lot of code, right? And lot of code they have written, and they have given us finally one class or one object, which we can copy it how many times ever we want, and we can create how many Excel files we want with all the data that we want. But all this kinds of abstraction is very difficult to understand. From various other courses that I have seen, this is totally glossed over. And people think that there are courses which actually go through the complete explanation, but not from the application point of view. Like here I'm looking at an application of the actual class object, and I'm trying to explain to you. So this is not theory anymore. This is real. You can actually use this class, and you can create these files, and you can check those files manually by creating it in your own environment, and you can share it with others also. So that is very powerful. This is something that I wanted to share with others, and that is one of the primary reason that I am actually making these videos. So do subscribe, and do click on the bell icon, and share these playlists and also the video with anyone who is interested to understand, or they are also looking for automating their activities. Do share it with them. It will be much more useful for them. I'll be further continuing these videos and going specific on couple of important libraries in Python, like Pandas, FastAPI, SQL Alchemy, and Streamlit, SpicePark, and another two libraries I'll be going through. So the next videos will contain the complete walkthrough of those libraries. So stay tuned for that. Till then, have a great time. See you guys.